It's been a long. It's the Inside Podcast Baseball. We were back, but people didn't know we were gone.
This is true.
Because I've guided the listeners through of us being in their ears, which is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I guess in your ears, like that little bug thing in The Wrath of Khan.
Oh, that just goes in and burrows and climbs around until you go crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like we are, right?
Like a meme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're in your ears, we're probably just gonna burrow around in there until you go crazy.
That's true. We will. We've done it before.
It's a very fair assessment of our skill set.
Mm-hmm. It's what we do. We've been trained this way. We're trained to do it.
We're trained to burrow around in your ears
and make you go crazy
and eat your brains.
I was gonna just say we could just sing great music, but sure, you want to eat their brains like a zombie worm? Cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, no, we're not really Mr. Mind. We're that bug from SETI Alpha 5.
Okay. Yeah.
4, 5, 4.
4.
It's not
5,
SETI Alpha
5, 4.
Yeah.
5.
Anyway.
4. 5. 4. It's gonna make you think about it. It's gonna make you think about it. 6, 5, 4.
Well, we're not
6,
talking about
7,
Wrath of Khan today.
8.
So I see 5 lights.
What?
I see 4 lights. I see 5 lights. You don't. You see, you get the Wrath of Khan jokes, but you don't get the.
I know that you're talking
next gen jokes.
You're talking next gen. I got it. I knew that.
Well, on
There's
the
3
first
lights.
page of Destroyer Duck, I see 1 light.
Yeah, that's true. There's only 1 light.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it's like that right there. What you're doing burrows through my ear, my brain's out. Whatever
Does
that
it?
ding thing is. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was okay like the first time, and then the second time, and then the third time. Yeah. Well, anyway, this is Destroyer Duck number 2, originally published by Eclipse Publishing, I believe. I recall my notes from last week.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here with another tale of Duke the Destroyer Duck, not Duke the Dumpster Drosy.
No, Duke the Destroyer Duck.
The man-slaying mallard on a mission of vengeance, which
You
we
know
get at
it.
the top. I love the Marvel-esque banner at the top, by the way, now that we get. Thank you. Created by Steve Gerber and Jack Kirby. Alfredo Alcala, the inker. It does say original inker here. So, because there's no inks. Yeah, Dan, you're a genius. Yeah. Because we're reading the Graphite version from Tomorrow's Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did look at eBay to try to get some Destroyer Duck original books.
Yeah. And
you don't know that. I was unsuccessful so far.
No dice.
But there's a willing threshold that I'm willing to pay for what you said were dollar bin books, with the exception of the first issue.
They were no. I'm like back. I would say.
I think even now.
Do you think they're dollar bin books, or do you think
except the first?
I would
based
say
on the
were.
eBay pricing I'm seeing, except for the first issue.
I would say they were dollar bin books back like 10 years ago for sure. Like nobody was.
So maybe they're
$2
bin books, right? Or they're $4 books, but I'm not paying $10.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I will. I do get a little obsessive about these things we do, but
it's true.
Anyway, this one's called Mommie Noises.
Mommy.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah, and it's like, and this, I would love to give this to Todd Klein to get an analysis of this lettering.
Ask some questions. Yeah.
Yeah, to find out. But this was drawn. I believe these letters were not Orzechowski or.
These are not
Tom
Orzechowski.
Thank you. So
they were originally, but I think they've been redone for Tomorrow.
Well, the letters were redone, but I'm specifically talking about the graphic at the top. That might have been. That might have been Tom, or it could have been Jack Kirby. I don't know, and I didn't see it in the notes. Because a lot of time when you'll see a logo like that, it's actually the letterer doing it. But it does almost have some Kirby Crackle-esqueness to it. So, and we're just diving right in. I mean, it's amazing that we want to talk about.
No, it's got a lot of, like, the page itself has so much stuff going on the page. There's many things. There's rats, there's ducks, there's somebody creeping in the background. A light bulb. Bing.
Children, a light bulb is this thing screwed into a thing.
I think they have light stand.
It had filaments in it. and those filaments.
Fella who?
And if you were in a basement like this, the filaments didn't necessarily work very well.
No, they did not.
Now you can buy your light bulbs in various shades of LED, which is a light emitting diode.
Yes.
But back in the olden days.
Back in the olden days, they were filaments and filaments.
Well, anyway, we've got a lot going on the first page. We've got, it is the mistaken opinion of Duke Destroyer Duck that his mission, the world of pink primates, has been accomplished. Ned Packer, president of GODCorp LTD, thank you for the recap, and murderer of Duke's best friend, the little guy, who's might be Howard the Duck.
Might be.
But we're not going to say that because we don't want to be sued.
The little guy
is dead.
Dead.
Holmes, the little guy's attorney, has filed suit against GODCorp, alleging everything from monopolistic trade practices to the vivisection of sapient life form.
Whoa.
We've got a nice news article with Holmes, the lawyer, and his justice suit down at the bottom.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's everything in this page because it's a Jack Kirby page. And, well, with the exception of the bill, as we were made aware of last time,
right.
Everything. And there's even some rats that make an appearance later, but I don't think they're the same rats unless they went from New York to Hokum,
which is a
rats. Country. Yeah. Which is apparently a country. Anyway, so Duke builds a new Negaspace transport for his journey home, unaware that the death or its duly appointed agent has drawn a bead on his feathered skull.
Oh no!
And we're in.
It's happening.
And we meet we meet Uranus P. Chicago.
Uranus P. Chicago. What a name. Where's that guy come up with a name that way?
Well, he went on an acid trip in 1968 and named himself after his astrological reading.
Okay.
At least that's what my evidence says here. If I went back to my comic files, just like they do in She-Hulk, and I pulled this issue out, this would tell me about his origin. And he doesn't really stick along, but he's eating an ice cream cone.
Yeah. Ice cream.
And he's about to shoot at Duke. He's not a very good shot, though. Misses, and Duke holds up whatever metal he's holding to block the bullets. And in classic shitty henchman fashion, he's like, "What's wrong with you, Duck? Why don't you die?" Isn't that what every bad guy says in wrestling, too?
Yeah.
Why don't you stay down? And like any good baby face in wrestling, Duke makes a big comeback, breaks a water pipe. I don't know what he does to his face there. It's like a hammer.
A hammer to the mouth.
Hammer in his face. A hammer to the mouth.
Pow. Breaks it in his mouth.
Really weird discussion.
Oh yeah, I think we could skip most of it because it's pretty messed weird. Up for the time. It was messed up back then. It's messed up for sure.
Now?
Yeah, it's messed up now for sure. But I mean, the whole discussion, 3 panels of wow.
Where it's just
Gerber,
like how crazy this guy is, right?
Yeah, he's out there.
Let's just establish that this guy is off, and Duke also recognizes, and so he doesn't kill him.
It is interesting though because my assumption is it is definitely they do pull from the headlines. This character is definitely someone.
Well, there's 2 timers here.
Well,
the headlines.
Yeah. Well, yes. No. Uranus is definitely someone who, during the time frame, there were a few, because he's obviously doing this for the love of an actress. That was definitely a thing that was happening.
Wasn't it Morgan Fairchild?
I don't think it was Morgan Fairchild. I want to say it was Jodie Foster.
Oh, yes.
But there was a couple people that were doing things for the love.
Of course, then Hollywood did the whole movie with Jennifer Jason Leigh in it, the single white female too, which was weird and creepy based on what was going on. I've always thought that was an interesting movie to put out.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we get to the end of this, and Duke demands to know who sent this guy after him, and he finds out it's somebody named Medea who works for.
Wait, from the movies about?
Yes. It was definitely reference. Now. Actually, I think now we know why he calls it Tyler Perry's Medea.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to be confused. Gerber
Medea.
And after reading this comic, I can see why.
I wouldn't, because then you'd have some mommy noises for sure.
Oh, jeez. I'm so funny when I'm cross-dressing. Oh, that's not what this is about.
That's not what this book is.
Well, it's not Tyler Perry's Spanks It on Halloween. It's
it is Duke Duck going after Medea, the bad one.
All right. Well,
bad mommy.
Duke kicks Uranus in the Uranus.
He does. He kicks him in the Uranus.
And they actually cut out a line that Jack Kirby wrote in, because you just need to read the book and you can read the line for yourself. But apparently it indicated that Uranus really enjoyed the beating.
Yeah. They're like,
they even thought that went too far. So they even had to draw themselves back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Duke heads upstairs in what we see as the Bowery Hills Hotel. And it looks like it's just a whole bunch of people sleeping in a line.
Yeah.
He tells the drunk clerk that desk clerk to go fix the water downstairs. They call a plumber.
Mm-hmm.
Cute. I was with Gerber too. I read this and just an observation about it. It's how when we were reading the Iron Man books.
Yeah.
And you thought the jokes were okay, but I thought the jokes were sort of forced.
Right.
It's interesting when I read Gerber, they just seem like in line with the character.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because the character, you're like, oh, this character would make a joke like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And they don't, I mean, they're equally cheesy comments, but they don't seem forced.
Fair.
Well, anyway, so Duke goes to sleep thinking GODCorp only knows. So that's what he's thinking about. GODCorp only knows about all these murders and everything. And it says, on that discordant note, the great gray mallard slips into troubled slumber. I'm loving some of the narration in the background in this one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, half a world away in the Middle Eastern emirate of Hokum. And before we get into this, I just want to say, Greg and I are very much aware of what's going on in the world right now.
Yes.
When you call a country Hokum, I think you can probably understand it is a farcical reference to activities in the Middle East at that time. That the book was written in 1981.
81, yes.
Yes. So I just want you to keep that in mind.
Oddly, though, I do believe they were dealing with the same things that we're dealing with now, just differently. Less technology.
But I also just need to get this out there that our discussion here in no way has Greg or I endorsing either side.
Yeah. It just happens to be that this book.
You're reading a comic book that
cover situations happening in the Middle East and unintentionally happening in the same place.
Yes. So we want to get that out there. So and I would even go further in saying I don't endorse the slaughtering of anyone or side.
Yeah.
In anything that's stupid. So
oddly, you can pick a book 2 months prior to, say, hey, we're going to do this book, and you don't know how the world is going to handle themselves.
Yes. And strangely, you may think that we are stunningly unprepared, but at times we do actually prepare. So, yeah. And emphasize sort of prepare, but we did pick out the book, and we're not gonna turn this into international affairs politics cast, but
no.
Let's say that. So we meet. We'll more focus on Mr. Cogburn here, and we meet Mr. Cogburn, who is a associate of GODCorp, and
kind of looks like Abraham Lincoln.
He kind of does. He actually, to me, it's a Kirby creation, and he looks like the High Father.
Okay, yeah, the High Father in New Gods, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, if you're making a comic book comparison, but yeah, I can see him looking like Abraham Lincoln as well.
Yeah.
I don't know from the notes. I didn't see who Cogburn's supposed to represent necessarily. Assuming based on
traded over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, my assumption is he's supposed to be some sort of corporate guy in Marvel Comics.
Oh yeah. So I mean, he's just an everyman.
But basically, he represents Mr. Upwind, and Mr. Upwind is the new CEO of GODCorp.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You need
a new one.
And he's not downwind, so all of his farts go in your general direction.
No.
Yeah. And basically he says that Mr. Cogburn is like he just insults all these guys and calls them pissant, coward, terrorists, and they shoot him and he falls off the building. And then some really creepy shit happens.
Yeah.
So he falls down. We get some nice dialogue about how every bone shatters on impact after he fell 23 stories. Rats come and they're looking at him, and then his spine just sort of leaves his body.
Yeah, just pops right out of his back.
Crawling around like a snake. I mean, now, I don't know. But he does have a full beard, but he doesn't have a mustache. And say if he didn't have the full beard, he had a partial beard, he could look a little bit, say, wolfy, or maybe small Canadian animal-like.
Oh yeah, like a goose. Yeah, got it. Canadian goose.
Yeah, it would almost be like. Now, I was sort of thinking he looks like the team in college football that steals the signs from the other team, but kind of didn't really get in trouble.
The Wisconsin
blue and
Badgers.
Maize.
The Badgers.
No, wasn't that one.
The Oregon Ducks.
No.
Oh,
there's no. I don't think there are Canadian ducks.
Yes,
that's pretty much factual. There are no ducks in the entire country of Canada.
Okay.
I found that on Wikipedia.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Who knew? Okay. Continue.
This is important facts we're reading today. This is an educational podcast. Well, we're out of the country of hokum.
Yeah. Dan facts.
I think I'll make bad jokes to get out of the discussion of what was there that we just were looking at. So now we're some hours later. Dawn breaks over the Long Island headquarters of the world's largest corporation, and Sidney Upwind, chairman of the board. And we get introduced to some new characters. So we're going to go through a couple of them here in order. But Mr. Upwind saying that they have the most serious crisis in our corporate history.
Oh, no.
The hokum deal must go off as planned. We have lost the other guy. I just forgot his name.
Oh, the main
who
boss?
died last issue.
Yeah, unimportant guy.
He's not really. He is, because his brother's right. Ned Packer. We lost
Ned Packer. Yeah.
I mean, Jim Shooter. Because Steve Gerber murdered Jim Shooter in the first issue.
Yeah.
Which I just, I mean, did we fault him?
No, he was angry with him.
Mr. Shooter, I just want to let you know that eventually I'm going to ask you to come on this podcast so I can interview, so I can learn all about what you were thinking as a 14-year-old and a 13-year-old about the Legion of Superheroes. So I just want you to understand this is all in jest. Like, we really do. I mean, we admired your blog that bragged about everything, how you created everything in comics. Yeah. And then we even did an entire podcast about, you being the to introduce illicit drugs into comic books, right?
True, we did.
Yeah, so I mean, I just want you to know I love you, Jim Shooter. Like, I mean, you've left a mark on my childhood. Not as much as one as Keith Giffen and Paul Levitz, who really perfected doing the Legion later. But I mean, if I ever had the chance, right, to have you here, I want that, right? Yeah. But maybe Steve Gerber justifiably murdered you in a comic. So
possibly.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we're introduced to Woblina Strangelegs, the head of GODCorp Sociotechnology Division.
Woblina Strangelegs.
Yeah, Woblina Strangelegs, and she does enforcement concepts.
Okay.
She mentioned they were trying to take out, because remember, if you looked at the original we'd have to go back to page 1 of the first book, right, to see all the divisions. So
yeah. I understand enforcement concepts. So like repossessions.
And you're yeah, right. And then Mead Packer, the brother of the late Ned Packer.
So
he's in charge of entertainment concepts. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he's always drinking mead.
Sure.
He's packing it in.
And he is their big star Vanilla Cupcake.
Okay.
Which I don't think Cabbage Patch Dolls were out yet. Right?
Strawberry Shortcake.
Was Strawberry Shortcake out in 1981?
Yeah, I definitely was getting Strawberry Shortcake vibes off of this, because it's a doll that has a scent.
Vanilla Cupcake.
Strawberry Shortcake, and it's a doll that has a smell.
Yeah.
As we start to.
Or a person.
Yeah, it's a person. It's a real person. Well, and oddly enough, the creator of Strawberry Shortcake is a very small person, small stature person who, when drawing Strawberry Shortcake, obviously most creators model themselves or model their characters. And I find it interesting because if you take a look at her and take a look at the original Strawberry Shortcake lineup and stuff like that, they all kind of have a look that's very similar to a young her.
Oh, well, and shoot, according to Wikipedia, and I just want to share that also informed me. You remember Wikipedia informed me that there are no ducks in the entirety of Canada.
Yeah.
So I want to stress that. The character Strawberry Shortcake was originally created by Barbie Sargent, who was then working as a freelance artist for American Greetings. The character first appeared on Laurel's Valentine's Day greeting card in 1972. I had no freaking idea. Okay. Yep. And of course it had the 80s cartoon. So this would fit. Did you just
get to the weird side note where her story fits into this story because she does not get any rights for her creation? Yeah.
In May of 1983, following a court case, copyrights to Strawberry Shortcake were granted to Barbie Sargent from American Greetings Corporation. So this follows almost the exact same fucking timeline as Steve Gerber's fight for. And he didn't know the end when he wrote this, but that's fucking hilarious.
And that's why I think they chose Vanilla Cupcake and to be overlaying the Strawberry Shortcake story.
Okay.
But oddly or sadly though, because she was a big designer of other characters or other things that were like very large in from the 80s time frames. Care Bears she did a lot of work on Care Bears, remember, right? There's stuff like that, if I believe correctly, and you might be able to verify that on the Wikipedia there. Other things that she worked on, but she did not get any of the rights for any of those things. So when you do see this creator out at shows, and she's still going to shows and she's in her 80s, go buy something from her, find her on her social medias and just go pick up something, because honestly, this is how she's paying for all the things that she's needing now.
When it looks like, because she didn't get, at least the first 3 television specials were 80, 81, and 82, and then 83, 84, 85. So she would have probably gotten paid for latter one.
And that's just a small percentage. And I can tell you that, if they're going to offer you 2% on the end deal, it's not very much.
I mean, not that you would know from experience.
Not that I would know from experience.
Okay, so now we'll get anyway. Okay, so Ned Packer wants her kissing that general that we met earlier in Hokum, the country. So they're trying to politically spin a. Now is here where I will mention they're trying to politically spin a war in the Middle East. To get for their own corporate gain. Fuck you. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Not you, obviously, and not the audience, but because I'm happy to comment on that shit.
Corporations shouldn't put their.
We stand with so and so. Fuck you.
No,
you sell shit to me. You don't stand for anything but that.
You just
I work for a large corporation. I very much know what the mission is.
Yeah.
All right. So Abel Stugg, head of GODCorp's Human Needs Division. My people will move in after the liberation to provide alternatives for Hokumites in the areas of healthcare, sewage, nutrition, housing, and the mourning process. We want to establish a nurturing, caring relationship between Hokum and GODCorp. So GODCorp, if you haven't figured this out, is trying to go into this country and be the corporate stabilizing, so then they can basically own it. Yeah, sounds fun.
That kind of destabilization move.
But we do have an issue, because there's also something going after murdering Ned Packer. And Wobbelina says she's going to dispose of the duck matter.
Yes.
And she says, Medea is my next stop. So now we're going to meet Medea. There's a lot of character meeting here in these pages. And we get shortly in the offices of Enforcement Concepts, L&D. We have a woman beating the hell out of some dude.
Mm-hmm. Bad boy.
You disobeyed me. You'll feel the forks of Medea. And she Yeah, I really don't know what's going on right now, but there is a vanilla cupcake with a giant knife through it.
Yeah.
And then another one with a cleaver.
Uh-huh.
And then there's a severed head. I don't know what her issue with vanilla cupcake is.
I don't know. She's got some definite, like, I want to say Electra vibes.
I guess. Yeah. Wow. Well, and
they're forks. They're kind of like.
And the man says it was an accident, and she says every accident is somebody's fault. Is this how you repay your mommy with carelessness? And then she grabs what look like giant barbecue forks.
Yeah.
It's got to be an Electra vibe. Yeah. And then Wobblina kind of takes her out and flips her around with her wobbly legs. It's also getting like, I think that too, you think about the whole relationship with Kirby and DC over the New Gods.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already seen like a dead ringer for the High Father. And now we get sort of the vibe of the female Furies and Granny Goodness.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And so we're seeing a little bit of that here too, which is okay. So maybe, he's probably taking a little stab at his own creation there.
Yeah.
All right.
I get what you did there.
Yeah. See, Greg's not the only one that's funny.
Ah.
Well, anyway, so she subdues Medea.
Yes.
And tells her that mommy will kill ducks and not employees. And she says mommy's a grown up. Mommy can kill anybody she wants to, strangle legs. So there's a little conflict going on. And then we get into the lawyer's office and we find out who Medea is. So apparently Medea murdered her children with barbecue forks.
Oh, okay.
And since she was in California in court, she didn't have to go. She went to a mental hospital for 2 years and they let her out. And apparently, while she was in the mental hospital, and Holmes and Duke had figured this out all in like 5 minutes, she reprogrammed people to murder for her.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, exposition lad. Okay, so now we get back to the action, and Duke is leaves the office, and he's going away from Holmes, the lawyer, and a very creepy. This Medea over his head is really fucking creepy.
Yeah, hiding in the ceiling.
I'm gonna go ahead and like, I'm not gonna pause the podcast, but I'm actually gonna snap that right now.
Okay, snap that picture because it is an interesting.
That's going on our bumper for this podcast. It's like, I don't think it's as creepy as the cover from OMAC #1.
No, it's not, but it's definitely up there.
Pretty much there, yeah.
Kirby
she's not dismembered, but that smile.
Yeah,
like
it's distant and away.
Yeah, like Jack Kirby.
He's got a way. He's got a way about him.
Jack fucking Kirby. I'm like, Jack Kirby, like I know the faults with the blockiness and things like that and the criticisms of Kirby, but there's a reason people study this guy. And it is just, obviously the body of work, and they always say, like, I think of like the Baseball Hall of Fame. Like, you could be amazing for 8 years, right, or 9 years and get in the Baseball Hall of Fame, or you can be like, be in the major leagues for like 20 years at a like above average level, right? And not above average. We'll say star level, right? Or you can be a superstar for a short time. Kirby is a star for a long time, right?
Oh yeah.
I think that, I don't, but it's, and the reason for his longevity are things like this. Like, this looks terrifying.
Definitely. It's scary. Just off-putting, weird.
It's terrifying. And then the next one where she's holding, like, he could have drawn horror comics, right?
Yeah, he could have.
And the box for the lettering, she says, yeah, don't you be scared. Mommy is here. She'll take good care of you forever and ever. As she's about to stab Duke. So she's ambushed Duke, for those of you keeping up with the story. And Duke flips her around and kicks her. And I don't know how to best describe this picture. It looks like her head has done a complete 360.
It's crazy. She bends around a lot.
Also, the rollers in her hair are just fucking amazing. Like, She reminds me of the housewives from Glow.
Oh yeah,
the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. For those of you that weren't children of the 80s, look them up. They carried. I know I've mentioned them on the podcast before. They brought like a plunger and a mop to the ring.
They were great,
and they were making fun of stereotypes too. And this is as well, right? So anyway, she pulls out a hairpin and hits Duke with it. And then what's she throw next? Oh, she throws her forks or barbecue tongs, and she misses him. And then she somehow has more of them, and she just murders 2 police officers there.
Just stabby. Yeah, it's bad. And then they get, and we still get all this, and this, did mommy give you a fright? It is, the dialogue here is so...
It's interesting.
Come along now, and mommy will fix you all up. It is, and the people around, like, it's not just Duke, but then the way Kirby draws the reactions is what's going on from the bystanders. They're just like all terrified, all of them.
Because it's very
and early on, before people knew what was going on, there was a couple like kids in the background, like saying it was like Disney World and hi Donald the Duck, and and then within like a seconds, they're all terrified as they're watching people get murdered.
Right.
And
it's not.
Duke pulls he called it a curler. It looked like a hairpin, but anyway, the curler, he says, "Damn, some kind of toxin on the curler. Arms as cold as yesterday's oatmeal and about as useful. I'm coming, Ma, just a minute." And because she says to him, "You hear me, Duck? Come along, or mommy will play the game all by herself." Okay. I don't know if this is the time to talk about 80s moms, but this was a lot of the language of 80s moms too. I'm not. I believe I heard many of these things growing up.
It makes it
even more creepy.
And out of context, it's just so. With no context for people, and they're like, "What was going?"
Well, we leave the fight.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, at the headquarters of Medical Concepts LTD. And as you recall, last issue, we learned that Medical Concepts is where they send their properties when they want to control them or they think they've outlived their usefulness. As you recall, that's where they dissected.
Oh, yeah, little guy.
Little duck, little guy. So, and we get a same scene. We get, it's a shame we can't synthesize the formula yet, Dr. Rocksnitz. But the pain she's feeling will be gone by morning. Whereas the revenue she's generating will be there the rest of her life. I actually added. There's no ha ha ha.
Yeah, that's just a wah. She's screaming.
And anyway, basically they've got Vanilla Cupcake TM. This is fantastic. So I'm glad you knew about the Strawberry Shortcake stuff because I did not.
You're welcome.
And I tried to avoid that like the plague as a child.
Hey, it's one of those things where I might not always know the stuff, but when I do, I bring it.
When you do, the most popular man in the world.
Interesting man. Not popular.
No, that's TM'd already. You can't have that one.
Oh, dang it.
Are you trying to get us sued?
You're right. I'm the most questionable man in the world. Well, not questionable man. I just
the most questionable man. Interesting. You fit right in this comic book story.
Bizarre man in the world. I mean, I'm the guy that brought a chili to the chili cook-off at work today. I didn't tell anybody I was bringing one. I wasn't invited to this thing.
So
I
you
showed
went to
up
a chili cook-off without being invited to a chili cook-off.
And then, I brought a chili with tuna fish in it. I mean, who does that?
My God, what are you doing?
And then everybody was like, "Wow, that's an interesting chili." And then after everyone ate it, I said, "Hey, it had tuna fish in it." And then you watched everybody go, making that like Dumb and Dumber.
What if they had like a fish out?
Well, the funny thing is there was no tuna fish in there.
I see. So you just put the mercury from the tuna fish.
No, I just put the fear that there was tuna fish in there.
I see. So I'm not sure where this story is going, but I definitely know that Vanilla Cupcake is the hottest licensing property in history.
Just like my tuna fish chili.
Sure. I mean, the story totally fit. Like, it made total sense. Like, yeah. I mean, just as everything I say on this podcast completely fits with where we're going, and I never lose my thoughts. But basically, Ned Packer.
Yes, Ned Packer
says, Mead Packer.
Mead Packer.
Yeah, Mead Packer says, "Don't cry, Vanilla Cupcake. TM. It'll be over soon. Uncle Mead promises." And she said, "Uncle Mead promised percentage of gross too." Spits in his face. And there we have the story of Vanilla Cupcake. And then they give us a really cool art page where actually they originally drew in Mr. Upwind instead of
Uncle Mead.
Yeah. And I guess Steve Gerber had it redrawn. They were not on the same page. Now we say concomitantly. I've never heard that word in my life.
Concomitantly. At the same time.
I would be thinking concurrently. Yeah, like
concurrently. Concomitantly.
We definitely weren't writing down to the 6th grade reading level. Superior. We've got the folks from Hokum that are trying to overrun the country, all celebrating. And here comes our good friend. What was his name? Goodburger, Gottlieb, Godapest, Good Gutentagen. Do you remember his name? I'm going back in the book.
Who?
The guy whose spine eliminated from his body. He's back. His name was.
I'm
back there. I got
Coburg.
Goldberg.
Coburg.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you were concomitant, trying to figure that out as we were reading. Cogburn. Whatever. I mean, you and I were both doing it at the same time, simultaneously.
In time and space, in different places at the same time.
Yes.
Dan and Greg go on a quest to figure out who Cogburn is.
Cogburn.
He's
a man with no spine.
Well, he does have it. Yeah, actually, no, that's the only thing he has in his spine.
Oh, okay.
But he's back, and he is a party animal, and he is.
I like this shirt.
He's murdering everyone.
Murderlicious.
We presume, because we don't see it on screen.
Yeah, we don't see it on screen, but he's double fisting a couple of big guns.
Yeah.
And he's going to town.
Well, now we're back to Manhattan. Traffic snag has developed the corner of Madison Avenue and 57th Street, and we're also alerted that is the location of Marvel Comics headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom of the page.
I see.
Was, because Marvel's in LA now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until they figure out that LA is too much for because he couldn't take it, and he need to go back to where he's gonna leave on that midnight train.
Yes. Eat some hot cola bolo.
Oh, sure. Okay. So we've got a big fight scene going on. And
I just moved it right along.
And we've got a bunch of people yelling about shutting up and getting out of the way, and everybody's fighting in the background.
They're country fighting.
The one guy can't move his car because he has a barbecue fork stuck in his distributor cap. How many barbecue forks does this Medea lady have?
She's got a lot.
It's like Tyler Perry's Medea's Big Barbecue. Is that?
She's forking it up. Downtown is forked up because of Medea.
Tyler Perry, Medea's forked up barbecue party. There we go.
Okay, there we go. Got it. Good.
A very Medea forked up barbecue party.
Well, she's serving lunch every day.
Tyler Perry's digestible. It's a Medea barbecue party.
Steaks, ribs.
Got everything. Duck.
Yeah.
Roast duck.
Yeah, all of it.
Well, I hate to break it to you. He tackles Medea. She goes down. However, in the process, she reaches up with a barbecue fork, and we may be having roast duck next to it because he says she's not even a competent psychopath. And the police pull the fork out of his back. Probably not what they should have done. I think they should have gotten him medical treatment first.
Right. Because, I mean, it's not the stab wound that will kill you. It's the sudden loss of pressure. Yeah. It's not the knife. It's not the fork stabbing the duck. It's the sudden loss of pressure once they remove it.
And with that, by the way, the dialogue is fantastic. Greg was doing a certain Medea jokes. So Greg was actually covering the
steaks, ribs, you name it.
Yeah, got it. But the last caption is, with that, the grim gray mallard falls. Next, vanilla extract. There's gonna be a 3rd issue, Greg.
Oh my gosh, the 3rd issue. I do find it funny is that we're gonna have weenies every day for lunch. You must have struck a nerve. Damn you, Medea. Come back here. I'm only wounded. Mommy didn't win. I find that like it's a whole entire like Mommy won. No, he didn't.
Oh yeah, and Medea's won the day so far.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Duke looks in bad shape.
Duke is in dire straits.
He's really ducked up.
She forked him real good.
Well, we're gonna get back to more Destroyer Duck next episode.
Yes, sir.
Because we love this, and I hate to break it to you fans, but I still love this. Greg said it was gonna get really out there, but I still very much love this.
Oh, I love it too, but you till that next episode drops. The next issue. It's a wild one.
Well, this is the one where you've read ahead and I'm actually reading as we go. We will see what happens. I can't wait. I don't know what's going to happen to Duke. This is kind of fun because I really don't know what happens next, so I can't foreshadow anything. I'm just like, all right, next page, here we go. And you know what happens, and anyway. By the way, you're getting my genuine reactions. I have not read ahead. All I can tell you is the cover looks really messed up on the next issue.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at that right now.
It's jacked.
I see some chains. I see vanilla cupcake.
Uh-huh.
Some guns. And I see
a duck. A dude.
And somebody in a space helmet.
It'll all be explained to you in the next.
Maybe it's Grimbor.
It is. Oh my God. How did you know? But it's actually not. It's not Grimbor. It's actually it's a grandma. So it's Grambor, the chains ma, and basically she finds all the Grambor, the chains ma, and chains ma finds all the young ones and chains them down.
God. Yeah. So basically, what you can expect next episode is a very Medea
Christmas.
Yeah.
The Thanksgiving. Oh boy.
Well, I think. Well, can you hang on until next episode? Can you find out the fate of Destroyer Duck? Can you find out the fate of Vanilla Cupcake? Will they go back to their owner? Will they stay owned by GODCorp? I don't know. We'll find out. But until you find out, Greg, I feel like you have something to talk about because we talked about it on the last podcast, and now it's real.
What? Oh, that the John Lee Nunley Kickstarter funded?
No.
Oh.
I mean, that's cool. Thank you for all your support for that. I know John appreciates that, but maybe something that people could pre-order.
Oh, okay. You want me to talk about Absolute Zero's Camp Launchpad,
or otherwise known as Tyler Perry's Medea, a Space Camp Adventure.
No, you stop that, Dan. It's not. This is formerly known as the secret project that Mike and I could not talk about. So those of you following along, Mike Tanner, longtime writing partner and friend, the co-creator of Junior Braves, and myself have been working.
And former lead singer of MXPX.
No. Don't say that, because then people will be like, "What? Different Mike." But also from MXPX is from from the state of Washington.
Possibly the worst song ever.
There's other ones that are bad. Anyways, so Mike and I have been working on a secret project. That secret project is Absolute Zero's Camp Launchpad. It's being put out by Little Brown Publishing and Einhorn Epic Productions. So
a division of Hachette.
I just want
to stay in theme with.
I will tell you, and I've said this before, and it's very weird. I listen to a lot of audio books on CD, tape, other things like that. I have growing up.
A Hachette audio production.
And hearing that is always like, oh wow, that's so cool. Maybe someday I'll have something. Maybe someday I'll make something that'll have that. And I was like, it's always like that'll never happen because you don't hear it, whatever. And then all of a sudden I get approached to write this book series with Mike, and we pitch this thing, and then it becomes real, and it's put out by these people that I'm like, holy cow, there's a big, I want to say, gravitas of this. I mean, I tell my mother-in-law, hey, have you heard of, and she's like, yes, I know Little Brown Publishing. This is a big deal. You are writing a book. So,
well, does Grandma know that? Does Papa know
that? My grandma, so until it comes out, even when Junior Braves came out and we went to Barnes and Noble and went to Kinokuniya, it was not. It was like, oh, hey, this is really cool. You have a book and it's in two very nice bookstores that I like. But it still was not. I don't know. I think for her, it's like her thing is, you're never gonna really, people aren't gonna know you until you're dead. So, and I'm like, what? Why would you say that? So, and it's like, I think that's just like literally like that is a thing of the generation. But it makes sense because, for the most part, everyone that she knows as a writer, creator, somebody that makes books, movies, anything, they're all deceased. And she didn't know who they were until they were deceased.
Papa may not get a book because you're going to give her one. But,
yes, that's true.
But you can order it on Amazon. Absolutely, by Greg Smith and Mike Tanner, and art by
Gabriel Gomez.
And you can pre-order now. You can also pre-order on the Little Brown website / Hachette website. So, yeah, this book's out there. I'll make sure there's a link to ordering it in the podcast notes as well. You get that on pre-order. And honestly, too, like, we're not going to beg you to pre-order the book.
No.
I love Greg's stuff and I order every time myself. But if you do pre-order, it does help It does help Little Brown, who is just now getting into these types of books, right?
Into graphic novels.
For it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, I'm just going to say, as the team bringing them their first foray into this area, this is a huge honor, for one, and two, it is like it is a very heavy task, if that makes sense, for anybody that's listening that's done anything creative. It's like there's a lot of weight on there. I feel like Atlas or Hercules or Sisyphus trying to push that rock up a hill.
Really?
Yeah, it's been, we've been working on this for like 5 years.
Because when you said Atlas, I heard you say, I felt like you said Alice, and so then I went to Alice from the Brady Bunch. It was a big lift for her to run that household.
Well, it really was.
And she really took care of those kids.
Took care of those kids. And
then that wasn't her job. Like, Mike and Carol were supposed to be taking care of their fucking kids, but Alice did that. Yeah.
She did everything. When things went sideways, she was there, and she had a life outside of the house, but she was always there.
Didn't she date Sam the Butcher, right?
She did. She did.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what your partnership with Mike is. It's like dating Sam the Butcher.
Yeah, but thankfully on this project we have Gabrielle, and I will say, Gabrielle, without her, we would not have this amazing art that every time she's put pages back to us or drawn anything to show us what her thoughts for panels, pages, characters, anything, I have been blown away, because it has this, I want to say, a feel to it. The artwork, it has this reminiscent feel, but it's a new story, but it has that kind of, oh yeah, and it's a little bit Space Camp, a little bit Meatballs.
So it'll let you feel, it's going to make you feel like you've been hanging out with Mommy Medea. Give you that reminiscent feel.
No Mommy Medea.
Oh, I see. No. I know. And actually, I've heard all about like this, so I'm really excited about how they're going to just like this. It's kind of fantastic, right? Listeners, if you buy this book, it does bring you back to the old days of Washington State. It's going to do some feels. A new MXPX CD is going to be released with every copy.
No, don't say that, because that's not true. But if you do go to the Einhorn Epic Productions website, that'll be linked, you can go get yourself merch, because there's t-shirts and stickers made for us, which as a creator, I'm used to doing that myself, not having someone say, hey, you know what we did for this? We actually made some stuff.
So you could get a t-shirt. And with every purchase of a t-shirt or sticker, you will indeed get an MXPX CD.
I would wish that it was any other band. I mean, not I like MXPX, but I mean,
signed by Jim Shooter.
Oh my god, I like MXPX, and I have a bunch of their CDs, but at the same point that there's so many other great Washington bands out there.
All right, so that's it, friends. Order at Sub-Zeros as soon as possible. You will get your MXPX CD, and of course, you will get a barbecue fork. And
you're just doing this to just drive me nuts. Oh my gosh.
Well, you were wondering in Omaha how I sold all of your books off the table. So I'm just saying.
Gosh. Well, you know my roommate Howard. He went to high school with guys from it.
And then he saw Bremerton and was like, oh my god.
Because he lived in Bremerton, and I mean, we were fortunate enough. We went to a high school that like famous people went to. So
sure we did.
Yeah, I mean, what the Harmon Brothers? That, they had that band.
Greg Smith.
No, I mean he's not famous.
Well, he is now because he has a book published by Hachette / Little Brown. So there you go. That's all you need to be famous. Book published by Little Brown, and now you're famous. You are not going to be able to walk the streets of Ballard ever again.
Because they're going to be like you're standing 10 feet off the Beale. I don't know what that means.
And let alone the streets of Kent. I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm already.
Well,
I honestly, okay. Just for those listening, if you are from Kent and you know my wife's story, and you see me around, you already do it. But that's a weird thing, and I'm just gonna put that out there. When people holler at me for the store, or they see me driving around town and I get honked at, like I gotta think like, did I do something to make somebody mad? And then I see people waving at me just insane amounts of waving, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're waving at me because of the shop, or like, so. Are
you sure it's because you weren't? Are you sure it wasn't because you were wearing your clown shoes?
No, I wasn't wearing. I can't do that in the exterior. Okay. I can't. I used to do it. I used to do it in my Privia. The Privia was big enough to do that with the clown shoes. So, but not in the exterior.
Well,
Toyotas have a bigger area than Nissans do.
Well, you can also see Greg and Ann at the Kent Washington right downtown. You also, if you want to support other businesses and you're in the Seattle Tacoma area and you want to train in jiu-jitsu and learn the art of grappling, you can visit Certified Martial Arts on 27th and Bridgeport Way, just barely in the city limits of University Place, but just pretty much. And so you could do that. You can also follow us on the X, on the weird blue thing, the Facebook,
Instagram. Yeah.
Insta. And of course, you can follow our podcast on YouTube or if you have our feed, you can pretty much just put us into any feed thing.
That's cool.
Just a heads up, there may be some changes to the feed coming up soon, and as they happen, we will be letting you know on social media if that happens. So
when we know more, you'll know more.
When we know more, you'll know more, but there may be some changes to the mothership. So if those changes happen, then we may be reporting to a new mothership. It's kind of like, but I can't tell you the order in which it happens because this story, much like Starlight, has no page number.
I know. There's no page numbers, just like Starlight. We're writing our own as we go.
Or there's no page numbers.
There's no page numbers.
So I can't turn the page and.
Yeah, no, but I had a great conversation today.
Well, there we go. So we news to come, friends, news to come. Yes, but the podcast is not going away. It just may like a little bit, but
like the seasons
we love
change.
You and thank you for our support. But if you do love the podcast, you could always give us a review on Apple.
Yeah.
Or give us whatever you do on YouTube. I honestly don't know. I just watch things there. But
you can go give
I assume you can hit buttons and give us a rating or something.
Yeah, give us a rating or a thumbs up, subscribe it, like it, leave us a comment or whatever. Get the algorithm working in our favor. All those things that make our shared mutual dreams come true, whatever they may be.
We're gonna make it after all.
Yeah. Do you
have a hat to throw up in the air? Because I don't have one.
I do. I'm throwing my hat up in the air. It's my do your underwear hat. Because I wear it when I podcast.
That's why you wouldn't go on video today. Well, on that note, that's a perfect time to end the podcast. So thank you for listening to another edition of Funny Book Forensics, a Medea podcasting experience.
A Medea podcasting production.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.